Welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. I am Preston Johnson. We do have one more caller waiting over on the other side. We have Ethan. He has a W for us. I have a good feeling about this one too. I'm not sure why. Ethan, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Preston?
I'm doing well, thank you. What do you like?
I'm gonna tell So Money Sports today and go under 7.5 in A's Seattle
Okay.
Mariners.
All right. We can get behind that. I need this again for some fantasy help. I could use an under 8. I'll give you hold on one second. I might be able to give you plus money. Yeah, plus 100 at Pinnacle. Under 7.5, so even money. We'll lock you in there. Any other reason outside of, I know we talked about Flexen a little bit. He's been phenomenal for Seattle, but anything else there for you that's sticking out?
I trust So Money with my life. He hammers hockey, so.
There you go. So if you don't follow him, you're talking about So Many Sports from Twitter. People can pull up his handle. He posts a ton of free picks and stuff and does well on those. Well done yesterday, by the way. We'll try to make it 2 W's in a row for you. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Have a good one.
We got one more, you said? All right. We'll bring him on. Or her. We're still waiting for female callers one of these days. Sorry, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, Preston. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. No more NBA for you. I know it's a tragedy.
No,
but if you can try to find...
Of course, the game... I was just going to say, of course, the game I go under, they both shoot like 60% from the field in game 6.
That's a good point. That was game 5, huh? I forgot about that. Yeah.
Game 5, yeah.
Cool. Hit us with something new today.
Yeah, so I want to go 2-team parlay in baseball, please.
Okay.
I want to go the Braves first 5.
All right, I can give you minus 153. Go ahead. What's the next leg?
Parlay with the Cardinals first 5.
Oh, wow. He's tailing Patrick. Minus 111. So this is the best. Yeah, both of them are actually at Westgate. So the best price you can get right now is at Westgate for anyone in Nevada or Vegas. Plus 214. Double parlay on the first 5s. Any one particular that you like more than the other, or any reason why, or are you just rolling with something today?
Just kind of rolling with something. I like both of the pitcher advantages, so that's basically what I'm going first 5 on.
Okay, excellent. We'll lock you in for that. Good luck tonight.
Y'all have a good one, man.
Yep, you too. Nice. We got that. We're good. We're clear. Woo. It was a nice run of calls. We appreciate it. Before we actually play, you have an NFL future we're doing today? No. Then we just need to talk NFL in general. And I'm curious your opinion, having played back in the day and just kind of assessing things from like a non-betting perspective. It's really strange. So for those that hadn't heard, they came out and announced. I'll just read the actual official tweet or whatever or announcement. It's the NFL just informed clubs that if a game cannot be rescheduled during the 18-week season in 2021 due to a COVID outbreak among unvaccinated players, the team with the outbreak will forfeit and be credited with a loss for playoff seeding per sources. Massive implications. That's from Tom Pelissero earlier today. So it's interesting because, again, I know I'm repeating myself a little bit from earlier on the show. Bob called a couple days ago. It may have been last week, and he had a question about, hey, because there was some releases saying like, hey, there are certain teams that are only 40% vaccinated or under 50% vaccinated. How are you going to handicap that? And in my head, I was like, overall, it's probably just going to be a wash. There'll be some people that are unlucky and bet on teams, whether it be week to week or from a season win total perspective, that it hurts them more than others. There will be some that benefit. It's probably not worth the time to try to guess on this and that and vaccinations. But now it might be when you have teams, one, not only, so for example, the Chargers, Washington football team, the Colts, Arizona are all said to be teams with the 4 lowest COVID-19 vaccination rates in the league. On the other side, you have a few teams like Pittsburgh, Miami, Carolina, Denver. They're on the higher end. They're all up near 85% vaccinated. Now, I think over the next month, teams are going to make sure their guys try to get vaccinated before the season starts. I mean, they should be trying. But it's something to take note of now, because if you're in a spot where one of these teams, that let's say the Chargers, Washington, Colts, Cardinals, aren't as vaccinated. There's a COVID outbreak. They have to cancel a game. They can't reschedule it. I mean, that's a loss that you just. And by the way, interestingly enough, it means the teams they're playing have a little bit of a higher chance of getting a random win in there too. Now, that's probably not super likely. There might be a couple of them that end up happening, but it is probably something that you can account for to some degree, and you probably should be accounting for. I can't wait. Something that I saw earlier today on Twitter. The team that it needs a loss in like week 18, we'll call it. All right, because they're playing 17 games now. Week 18, we need a loss for draft order. They're basically tanking, and they get a W by forfeit because you can't reschedule after week 18 anyway, and some other team breaks out and they just can't play, and they're going to accidentally get a win and lose 3 or 4 spots in the draft or something. That feels like that's going to happen. I feel like those week 17, 18s is when it could be most prevalent because it's just going to be harder to reschedule a game. Okay, all that being said, if you're a football player, you're getting paid hundreds of thousands, potentially millions to play this game. You just find out that your team, your fans, everything, your organization you represent, I don't want to make this political at all, but I'm just saying, like, you could lose if you're not, keeping track or vaccinated and at least trying to stay on top of COVID and whatever the Delta variant. Like, wouldn't you just go get vaccinated now if you weren't vaccinated yet?
I feel like you're talking directly to or about Cole Beasley, which he's been like.
I don't even know. What did he say?
He's just
like
been
out.
Main advocate of not getting vaccinated. I didn't get vaccinated last season. I don't have to get vaccinated. They shouldn't be forcing it upon us.
So the question then is, now does he change his tune?
They're going to lose pay, which is part of the memo that I saw. Like, if you don't.
The NFL basically made it where these guys have to get it done, right?
Yeah. It's stupid to even prolong it for that long. And it's just, like, I actually don't understand people's hesitation with the vaccination, because here we are a year later and you're seeing, like, a lot of stuff happening with unvaccinated people passing away.
Sure.
So the hesitation of it now having to deal with the paycheck and your livelihood, like, what's the point, man? Just
at this point, just do it. And
if you're not
get to work.
You're not an advocate. Yeah. I get it, but retire. Like, that's the only thing. And it's not like they're putting them in a situation where they have to choose, which they do. It's I don't know, man. It's because it's like you don't want to have to say you're forcing people to do it, but it's
that's why it's kind of
right.
It's an interesting rope to walk across or tie line, whatever the saying is, because and I hate politics because it just seems like it always brings out the worst in people. Man. And like I never tweet about it. I'm like, hardly ever. I probably made fun of Trump once or twice at some point, but like at some point I feel like you owe it to you said your own livelihood and family and like getting a paycheck and then just your teammates and your organization and everything there to just get to work and to do what you got to do and go play football. So I think that's where it'll end up being by the time the season's starting. So again, to have the conversation, bring this back to betting, are there advantages here and there now looking at vaccination rates team to team? There might be, but I wouldn't be firing them yet. I would wait and see what those rates are in mid-August or,
And there's also
during the preseason.
Yeah, like the COVID outbreak that we're about to experience is about to be apparently 1,000 times worse than what it was last year.
I just found out. I'm going to the Dodgers game Saturday. Heads up, bet the under. And we just found out they're actually making people wear masks again as of yesterday, I believe. So, it's unfortunate, but like you just got to do what you got to do. And I feel like the NFL players should be in a similar space or similar mindset where this
you
is
would
what
think
we do.
that with millions of dollars on the line, at least you would think that. But I just think that we've reached a point where misinformation has really messed everything up. So people are going to probably try to stick to their guns.
Especially if you're like, I don't know, like the Chargers, Washington, Colts, Cardinals are all teams in contention for playoff. Like, just get it done. Yeah, I think it would also just be a lot easier on our end, right? Not to be lazy, but just like I want everyone to actually.
Nobody
play.
wants to do all.
It's
this
also
research.
just more fun to watch everyone play football games, isn't it? Like let's just make it happen. So hopefully, get sorted out. Let's talk Big 12. We got 2 more teams left. We went through the first 8. The last few days. I didn't have a bet yesterday on Baylor or Texas Tech regardless. No real value. I will say this, though, today. Wrong one, but that was yesterday. You were doing that on purpose. I apologize. I had just assumed you put up yesterday's by accident. That's on me. Baylor was 5.5. Texas is 5. My win total projections were within like 0.3 of a win on each of those. So nothing to be had there. And then today we got the Kansases. And let's start with, okay, so Kansas State is first. They're clearly better than Kansas. Everybody's better than Kansas. They're my 66th ranked team in the country. A little bit higher than, say, Phil Steele has them at, for what it's worth. A little bit lower than PFF. I'm not sure how to, for some reason, and I generally just say, like, hey, the numbers are the numbers. Got to go with it. But Chris Kleiman comes in. He'd been at North Dakota State for years, winning championships at the FCS level. He comes in last year, and they do a pretty good job. Defensively, they were above average. I think they were top 50 in EPA, or 44th, I believe was their number. And then offensively, they were like 69th, but that was without Skylar Thompson, their actual starting quarterback, who will be back this year, only playing 2 games plus a few snaps in a third one, and then he got hurt. One of those 2 starts, he rushed for 3 touchdowns on top of the fact that he can throw to some degree. But it was a win over number 3 Oklahoma. They won 38-35. They upset Oklahoma. That was Oklahoma's loss. People kind of already forget. So I think there's a ton of upside for Skylar Thompson. Year 2 of Chris Kleiman, who just had been such a, like just the GOAT FCS at North Dakota State. But my projections are like 4.8 wins. It's like a lot lower than 5.5. Like, I don't see this team getting to 6+ very often. And it's rough because the Big 12 is just tough as it is. They're the 9th rated team in my ratings of the 10th in the Big 12. There's 10 in the Big 12. We had that discussion the other day too. There's 10 teams, 9th rated Kansas State, and they have to get to 500 to lose this bet. It's like, oh, well, they must have some non-conference games and matchups like an FCS competition or, a really small school. There are 3 games going before they have to play 9 Big 12 games. Stanford, there'll be a small underdog there. Washington State, I actually have Washington State a couple-point favorite on a neutral field against Kansas State. And Nevada literally is like 1 spot below, I believe, on my ratings where Kansas State's at, or maybe it's 2 spots. Regardless, that's about a neutral. Like they're not going to come away with more than maybe max, I would say 2 wins on average, but it's going to be 1 more often than 2 or 3. And so now you have to find 5 wins as the 9th best Big 12 team in 9 Big 12 games. I just don't see it. So I'm trusting the numbers. I think there's a market assumption that, not only Kleiman in year 2, but Skylar Thompson, remember he beat Oklahoma. They have him coming back. It's true. I could just be wrong. But as far as their talent grades and everything coming in recruiting-wise, transfers, losses on both sides of the ball, they don't have really any receivers, period. It's one of the worst receiving groups in the entire country, Power 5. I got to go with the under. So I feel bad for some reason. I like rooting for the FCS coach that has success, or even like a small-time college or high school, like the one in Las Vegas I was rooting for. But the Bishop Gorman coach, I'm forgetting his name. He takes over at UNLV. Didn't work out, but I was rooting for him, and I'm rooting for Kleiman, but 5.5 is just too tall, especially when they have 3 non-conference games that they could absolutely just lose all 3 of those. And then how are you going to go 6-3 in the Big 12? Not going to happen when you're the 9th rated team of 10 in the Big 12. And maybe people could argue they should be the 8th or 7th best team in the Big 12. I just don't see it. I don't. So moving on to Kansas real quick. 1.5 is their season win total. I am like at 1.7. It's nothing worth betting. They're bad. It's nothing new. It's been a long time since they've had a season that they've won more than like 2 games. They brought in, what's his name, Lance Leipold from Buffalo. So they're trying to kind of do another rebuild. They've, I think, tried to rebuild a few times now. Hasn't worked. But Leipold comes over from Buffalo, where he had a ton of success turning their program around. Now it's the MAC. It's going to be a little bit different in the Big 12. It might take him some time, but he is at least a positive light for the program, for the school. And a couple of things just to note, again, there's no value here. I'm not betting over or under. If you want to look at their schedule, I think they do have an FCS game that they could potentially win. And then they can maybe try to find 1 more win somewhere on their schedule. They play Coastal Carolina and Duke as well outside of conference. Like it's a really fair line. It's nothing worth betting. But at Buffalo, I just wanted to mention that Leipold had, I think it was the 2nd best rushing rate. He uses heavy outside zone scheme when they run. And so of all of the teams in the country last year, they were the 2nd most efficient over those 2 seasons running outside zone. And so he's trying to bring that now from Buffalo to Kansas to an offensive line that ranked dead last as far as offensive line units in all of college football last year. So will he be able to do that, bring that success, and mold it over against more athletic, better teams in the Big 12? Probably not. It's going to take some time. But from a schematic standpoint, what we saw him do at Buffalo, what they saw from their run game, I think it's positive going forward. It's just not going to be this season yet. Insane. That's the Big 12. Those are the 10 teams, not 12, 10. I think it was, let's see if I can do it in my head. It was Oklahoma, then Iowa State, then TCU, then Texas, then Oklahoma State, then West Virginia, then Baylor, then Texas Tech, then Kansas State, then Kansas. So those are my 10 if you were to order them down through. A couple of them are pretty close to each other. And we'll review tomorrow with Ray G where I went wrong, potentially, with my bets. I think we had a good amount of futures, actually. So we'll make up a graphic. I think we have 5 or 6 that I bet in this conference. So I'm intrigued. I love watching Big 12 football. I'm an offensive guy. So
it's going to be Big 8 football now.
Why did you say – you tweeted that yesterday. I didn't even know what you were talking about. Did I miss something?
Texas and
Oklahoma are leaving? Are they starting their own conference
going to the SEC
in the metaverse?
Apparently.
They're going to the SEC?
That's what they've been negotiating or talking about the last day.
Who are they kicking out of the SEC?
I don't think they're kicking anybody out.
They're just going to go – they have 14 teams already, right?
I think so.
How are you going to have a 16-team conference?
The Big 16, the SEC 16.
The 16 EC? Or what are you trying to do?
Yeah, we're going Big 8 versus the Big 14 versus the SEC 16. That's what it's going to be.
That's what it's sounding like.
You got to think, though, like the NIL is a major part of, I think, or going to be a major part of college recruitment now. And
for sure,
like, saying like Kansas and Kansas State, like those teams are probably going to be kind of asked out because they're not going to get, or they already don't get the recruits. And now it's going to be kind of way more difficult to get the recruits.
Let me hit back a little bit on that. I think it's an interesting discussion. I haven't looked into it too much, so I'm not going to pretend to know everything. But isn't there going to be at least some sort of money or potential for a school that has doesn't generally get recruits, but can pay someone to at least get someone better than they normally would? Like it goes the other way too, right? Or do you think everyone's just going to go to schools that can pay more?
Well, you still have the boosters who would probably, I don't know if they'll be participating.
Like Kansas is a good example. Like I don't think Kansas is like, I don't know, the university's probably doing okay.
Yeah.
They could probably, if they're losing all of these guys elsewhere, well, then they'll pay to get a couple that they maybe otherwise wouldn't get anyway, but now the money's helping them bring in some higher caliber recruits. I'm not sure. I just think it'll kind of go both ways and eventually settle. But if it actually makes the gap worse,
yeah,
which I think it'll take a few years to really see, the results. But that's kind of a shame. But I also think the players deserve to get some money. So I'm not going to say no.
I mean, and that's the crazy thing because, like, if you think about it, as far as being a high school recruit, you're kind of think of it as like free agency. I'm going to go somewhere.
Right now, you can kind of choose and depending
on Florida school,
the offer. Yep.
Where I can pay less taxes and get more NIL. Like it's becoming an actual business now, which I think it's gonna like we already talk SEC, Ohio State, Oklahoma, like those types of schools being above and beyond other teams, and I think that gap's probably gonna widen. You're gonna see teams like Miami probably make a return, and other schools that can afford to,
get the best no matter what, even though like they should be getting the best anyway. But Miami's probably a perfect example of a team that can now, in 4 years, is probably sitting in that top tier. Used to be, hasn't been. The recruiting's dropped off some. It's still good, but yeah, that's interesting. Have you thought about at all how your career life would be different if you had that opportunity? Like,
not a chance in hell. Like
nothing would have changed.
I was like last recruit at a D2 that came in. They offered me money.
Well, you must have been pretty good if you played afterwards too.
Yeah, but they offered me money. I was like coming out of high school. I was like,
they offered you money.
They offered me money late. Like I was coming out of high school. I was like 5'5", 140 pounds.
You were 5'5" in high school.
Come on, man.
Hold on, you're taller than that now. How tall are you?
You don't make it. Listen, this is not any.
People don't usually grow 5 inches after high school.
I didn't grow. I grew 5 inches in high school, and then I grew like a few inches after. I'm not going to disclose the real height. You check it on the Wikipedia. It's 5'9". But I got money like in April. I was like one of the last recruits to sign, and I had to earn money towards. So it wouldn't have affected. Like our school wasn't sports related we didn't make money for the school or anything. Like they just let everybody come in for free. So I don't think it makes sense. Like for guys who aren't like going to Miami or going to those big schools, you're still going to get your stipend. You're still going to get something. Maybe your teammate split something with you to bring the team together. I think that's going to be something that kind of changes the landscape is if you get a quarterback that I think, is it Bama's quarterback that I think Saban said he got like upwards to $7 million or millions right now, 7 figures.
7 figures.
So like if I'm going to a school with him and he's trying to spread the wealth around, then yeah, you're trying to build a dynasty. So it's like it's gonna be like a team up thing, man. I think
it'll be like a big three out of high school. You'll have guys teaming up. They see each other at certain camps as they're going through high school. Probably. That's interesting. I hadn't thought through it that deeply. We have a call. Nice. All right, we'll bring him on. Welcome to Last Word Cheetah. We do have a few more minutes before we got to close up. We'll try to get you a bet in. Who are we speaking to?
Preston, this is Bob again.
Bob, he's back. Welcome. Any
hey, I wanted to add one more thing to my parlay. I wanted to bet the under on Qwan's actual height. He's not 5'9".
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up.
I feel like that's the odds.
They definitely.
I think we need to measure him.
Hold on a second. We have a measuring tape in here, right?
What is going on?
Qwan, stop clicking buttons.
Go.
Do we have a measuring tape in here?
Listen. Okay, hold on.
Stretch. I'll give you 5 seconds to stretch, Qwan.
Come on, Bob.
So you know, back in the day, they would always list you a little taller than you are. Here's the thing. Here's why he's right.
Man.
Here's why he's right. One, back now the NBA changed that. Now they're like measuring with no shoes on, like they're making sure it's legitimate. But this was years ago. So 5'9" is definitely at least an inch high. Plus, you said you were 5'5" at a high school. People don't grow 4 inches after high school.
Anthony Davis did, didn't
he? At Kentucky, he grew 4 inches.
No, wait.
Giannis was like maybe like one of the weird.
You still grow as a man. You still grow until age 22. I mean, I never did, but you still do.
So I feel like Qwan's really up in the odds on this.
What's the guess, Bob?
What?
What's the guess on my height?
Under 5'9".
Doesn't matter what it is. It's just under
5'9".
Hold on. Where's we have a measuring tape?
It's under 5'9". Like, do we really have to do? Bob, do you have a pick? What's the pick? The pick is just under.
The afro helps though.
The afro.
I'll have to push down on the afro and get a legitimate.
We're pushing that, yeah. I hear radio ads 1.5 inches to your height, so it's probably closer to 5'7.5".
5'7.5".
That's pretty. That's it. It's 5'7 3/4".
Okay, so it is less than the 5'9". On.
Come on, man. You guys are ruined. Listen,
that's another plus 100.
It wasn't hard. He knows 5'7 3/4 sometimes.
Jeez,
just like he had it down.
I'm not gonna be able to get no play after this. Bob, listen, tomorrow.
Hey, dynamite comes in small packages, Qwan.
There you go. That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate it, Bob.
All right, thanks, guys.
Take care. We have a few more minutes left. I did want to touch a little bit before we get any deeper into Olympics, but mostly just the NBA, or I should say basketball. We sent over our team. There's been some weird stuff with guys dropping out because of COVID, right? Like Bradley Beal and Zach LaVine has to do health and safety protocol stuff. They only flew 8 guys over to Tokyo, if I recall, when they left 2 nights ago. And then following Game 6 in the NBA Finals, Booker, Middleton, and Drew Holiday are also headed out. But one of the 8 was like JaVale McGee from a few days ago. Do we have someone else calling in?
Anthony's probably calling in to call me shorter.
All right, well, we have 3 minutes. Let's take the call. I'll finish my thoughts on the Olympic basketball team after. Anthony, you got 60 seconds, man. What's up?
Don't give him that long.
Yeah, Qwan is easily under 5'7". I'm finally agreeing with Bob. There's no way.
This is what finally made them friends.
I bring people together.
That's actually pretty. I'll measure him after the show
today.
Don't
believe 5'7 3. Give me.
I mean, he wants to go under, so I'm going to give him under if he wants it. I'll measure after, and we'll report tomorrow. And they'll be able to watch you shooting a basketball tomorrow too. On top of it, it'll be double good for the fans, for the content, the viewers. Anthony, we'll lock you in. We'll parlay it. That's like 24-1, I think, now on his parlay.
Anthony's saying something very disrespectful, probably.
I don't think so.
I'm saying that Qwan has a hard time of speaking the truth or like actually figuring out the truth in his own brain.
What do you mean?
100%
I'm probably one of the most honest people you know.
You're a deadlock free throw shooter. You couldn't hit the broadside of
No,
the
that's just terrible confidence.
He
I
said
tell-
he
I'll
said
tell
he's
you-
automatic and
I'll
he hit
tell,
20.
I'll tell you when I'm trash. I'm just
You're
happy to be out there,
8'2",
man.
You're 3'6". I mean, what else is it?
Listen,
What else aren't
Anthony,
you
call
telling-
in tomorrow. We're
Preston,
gonna get
I'd
out of
watch
here.
your
We
back.
gotta wrap the show.
Preston, I'd watch your back if I were you, and I hope you gave Qwan a little spank. I hope you gave Qwan a little spanking yesterday for not bringing me in there. He was putting all the people. in
I was
front of
actually
me. I hope
disappointed.
you
He was
hung
kind of
up.
upset.
I was mad you hung up. I wanted you. Yeah, it was good. I knew why
Good,
you
I
were
hope
calling.
you bent him.
You're a smart guy. You're a clever guy. I knew why you were calling. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Anthony. Enjoy your evening. 3'6", mercy.
3'6",
Taking
yeah.
shots at the midgets.
Man,
Mercy.
he's deep in the booze though. He said 4 p.m. He's deep
Yeah,
in the booze,
I mean that's
so.
how it is. It's almost the end. It's almost 5 now. To turning back, NBA. We got 2 minutes. I keep saying NBA. Olympic basketball. Their price has gone from like -700 down to like -$300. People are trying to figure out, okay, if they're so beat up, like what are Middleton, Holiday, Booker? Like they just played in the finals. Like how are they going to be, or where are they going to be at? What's the team that can defeat them? And Australia is like 13, 14 to 1 range. They've been bet down some places now into like the 8 to 9 to 1 range. Spain, I don't think is as good as they've been. And everyone's talking now about, remember when Nigeria beat USA about a week ago? Then the next day or their next game, they beat Argentina. And everyone's like, wow, like Nigeria, like holy cow. They were like 250 to 1 at one point. The very next game, they played Australia, who again I think should be the favorite after the USA. No Aaron Baines, no Patty Mills, and no Joe Ingles. 3 like pretty competent or good NBA players. Nigeria lost by 40-something, 46, I think. And it just tells the story so perfectly. They beat USA. They shoot so many 3-pointers. Nigeria just embraces the variance of we're going to shoot a bunch of threes. If they're going in, we can beat anyone, including USA. If we're missing, we can lose to Australia by 46 in a game they're missing their 3 best players, their 3 NBA players. That's a team you want to be betting on when you're taking long shots. You can still get 100 to 1 out there in this tournament. So we'll leave you with that. We'll call it the last word for today. I love the shot at Nigeria. Shooting a bunch of threes, they're going to lose more often than not. But if they nail them at the right times, a few different times, it can lead a path to victory or at least a chance to get some profit from the ticket. We're going to be back tomorrow, Friday, Last Word Cheetah at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, brought to you by BetsTV per usual. And we'll talk to you guys then.